Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has a bone to pick with the team of the recently defeated Herschel Walker, as well as other Republicans. In an interview on Wednesday, Greene went after the establishment wing of the Republican Party, in which, of course, is the kicking off of the next phase of the Republican Civil War. Take a look.
This is for Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and the rest of the Republican senators. You guys are the reasons why we are losing Republican races all over the country. And this is your third loss in my home state. So let me inform you on behalf of Georgia, this is your third strike and you're out. You don't belong in our state running key races anymore. No, thank you. We don't want your help.
Let me just say, okay, I love Republican and Republican crime. This is fun. It's the best kind of crime. The greatest crime. The most tremendous crime. But okay, so she gets into why she thinks Herschel Walker lost. Oh, it's because, you know, of Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. I think it's because Herschel Walker's brain was essentially jello, and they tried to run him anyway. Look, guys out there talking about werewolves and vampires and doing anti-trans ads. Now, thankfully, one good thing that I can take from this is that all of the candidates who focused on transgender, right, on demonizing transgender people, well, guess what happened? They all lost. That's because it's not an effective message. Yeah, sure, it's red meat for the right wing, and it does put them in a lot of danger. But at the same time, you can see that it's the appetite for being a bigot is not one that is shared by the majority of the American people. So I think I will take that as a positive as we continue to fight for our trans brothers, sisters, and everything in between, and their rights, their human rights. So that said, why Republican voters picked Herschel Walker in the primaries, because remember, he didn't just appear magically out of thin air. No, Herschel Walker ran in a Republican primary against other Republicans that weren't completely insane. And guess what? Republican voters said, no, this guy who's obviously crazy and's got a lot of problems, yeah, we're going to pick that guy. We think he can win in a general election. Well, they picked the dumbest person. They said, oh, that guy, I like him, nailed it, got it, we're going to vote for him. And they picked wrong. They chose badly. They lost. Good riddance. Good riddance. However, getting back to Marjorie Greene, she thinks, no. Herschel Walker would have won if only the Republicans actually, and his team, actually invited and got me more involved.
Let me let you know something, Steve. I was never asked very often by the Herschel Walker campaign to come speak at any of his campaign events. They only asked me to come to maybe two or three in my own district when he was campaigning all over the state running for Senate. But they only asked me a couple of times in my own district, which I find extremely insulting. But the audacity and really the frank rudeness of the campaign consultants and Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, where they thought, we're going to keep Marjorie Taylor Greene away from Herschel Walker, and we don't need her voice at his campaign rallies and events where we're campaigning all over the state, I think is a really major mistake and an insult to me and an insult to people who support me and Republicans all over Georgia, because I don't have a popularity problem in my home state. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham do.
Oh, my God. Oh. Let me just start by saying I was never asked very often. So wait, then they did ask you. And you did some events in your district where you just said you don't have a popularity problem. I mean, really? She looked at Walker's campaign and said, you know what they need? More Marjorie Greene. Okay? That's what we need. Wow. I mean, these people have absolutely no self-awareness at all. At all. And then somehow making this all about herself. Hilarious. And doing so in the dumbest way possible. They don't realize that the general electorate doesn't want insane people anywhere near power. And this is the problem with the Republican base now. They are so radicalized and inside of their own media bubble that in their primaries they push forward the most insane candidates who then go on to generally lose. Only in places like Marjorie Taylor Greene's very, very heavily gerrymandered district do we see insane Republicans win their general elections by incredibly large margins. That's what happens. Yes, we do have a gerrymandering problem. And by the way, it's not just Republicans that gerrymander. Democrats gerrymander districts as well because they want to have safe seats. And sometimes they even work together to designate safe seats so they all keep their seats. You know, because people that are in power are going to try to stay in power, which is why neither party should be allowed to draw their own district lines. It's insane. Now, that said, let's go to Herschel Walker's estranged son, Christian, who had his own insight. Now, Christian Walker, before I get into him, he is a right-winger, very Trumpy, and so not necessarily a great person, but here's his insight on his own father. He said this: "The truth, Trump called my dad for months demanding that he run. Everyone with a brain begged him, please don't do this. This is too dirty. You have an insane past. Please don't do this. We got the middle finger. He ran." Now, he also said something that we knew to be the case as well. He said, Republicans, we say we don't play identity politics. And then you ran this man mainly because he was the same skin color as his opponent with no background other than football. A boring old Republican could have won. And look, he's actually right about that. Boring old Republican. Think about it this way. Midterms are usually not friendly towards the party that is in power. That's how it's been. That's why this midterm was so very rare. Because we actually saw the party in power still remain, at least when it comes to the Senate, in power and not losing as many House seats as they were expected to do. And so that is interesting. Again, they're expecting a red wave. They got a red puddle or a pink puddle. So that said, it's because they ran these insane candidates and people were tired of it. They were sick of it. But boring old Republicans, they did actually win a lot of their races. That's why, again, Republicans did take back the House by a couple of seats. That said, getting to his point why the Republicans ran Herschel Walker to begin with, he's also right about this. Yeah, they ran him because he was black. That's it. Lindsey Graham had already given that away when he had said, the Democrats like to say that the Republican Party is racist. Well, how can we be racist when we're running Herschel Walker? And it's where I get this lovely sound clip.
The Republican Party's racist.
It's true. But look, in the last couple of days in the campaign, you had Walker flanked by Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz. They weren't they weren't campaigning with him. They were his handlers. They were there to make sure that Herschel Walker didn't say something else stupid. Of course, you can't stop dumb. Dumb will always win. Stupid will always come to the surface. It will bubble up like chunks in a stew. And that's what happened. And so, look, the whole point, by the way, of getting Herschel Walker elected, or trying to, was to get someone in there who was just smart enough to hold a pen and sign their name and do anything the Republican Party wants. They used him as a useful idiot. The other day I covered a story, you may remember, where donations to Herschel Walker were being siphoned by or siphoned from his campaign to other Republican politicians. You have people like Donald Trump taking, at one point, 90% of all the donations that he had, tried to push for Herschel Walker. 90%. And then you had Mike Lee and Owen Burgess, a senator and a House member, respectively, Republicans both, doing 50-50 splits and not telling the donors about it. So they just take half the money, they pocket it into their own campaigns. And then, of course, you had the Republican National Senatorial Committee, or Senate Committee, which took, get this, 99 cents out of every dollar donated to Herschel Walker. 99%. They took the money and padded their pockets. I thought maybe it was because they thought that Herschel Walker would lose, but actually the race ended up being really, really close, uncomfortably close. But still, Warnock was the winner. But wow. No, it turns out that they see this guy as a useful idiot. Herschel Walker probably had no idea what was going on. He's like, oh, my good friends, Lindsey Graham and, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, they all love me. I don't understand. And they're just like, you sucker. It's here to steal your money. That's it. Stupid. That's it. That's it. And so, again, good thing that he lost. So that said, if Republicans want to claim to not be racist or using other, using black people as political props, maybe they shouldn't use black people as political props. They shouldn't be using your own candidates, who, in this case, have obvious mental deficiencies. Maybe you shouldn't exploit them. Maybe, or just not run them. Or just not be racist. I know that would be super easy, but that would require them to not be, racist. And if they weren't racist, they wouldn't be Republican politicians. And they might actually, have to pick smart candidates. And we all know how the Republican base feels about smart people. Stupid.